Clark County School District has recently published a new policy that seems to directly affect the rights of their employees and was quickly taken down due to backlash. The document itself seemingly attempts to redefine the freedom of speech from the perspective of an employee and of a private citizen. However, the document contained very alarming signs that it was entirely restricting one's right instead of defining it. It's become such a glaring issue that even the American Civil Liberties Union has become involved in the situation and trying to analyze the integrity of the document. It's also been reported that this district has run through a system of fear, and many employees have been afraid to speak up on issues beforehand and only managed to get the word across in this situation through social media anonymously. Many lawyers and attorneys have gotten involved, stating their opinions on how this was a bad move, and with all the negative feedback received, the district quickly took down the policy, giving it a consideration for a revision in a future meeting. So the contents of the document. The document itself is 2 pages that attempts to define and state the rights of the employees. Essentially, it states that the district employees are allowed to speak as normal citizens when relating to public concerns, but when they engage in a speech as a district employee, they are not private citizens. Therefore, and I quote, "the speech is not protected by the constitutional right to freedom of speech." Meaning that whenever they consider themselves as an active employee in a conversation, their speech is not protected at all, and is even outright denied if the conversation is during work relating to public education, or if someone else brings up a conversation relating to their work. Employees must also have separate and monitored social media accounts relating to the work. And lastly, even if they do comply with all of the rules to retain their freedom of speech as a private citizen, the district directly states that they have the power to limit or prohibit their voices to be heard if deemed necessary. The overall document also leaves many things vague and up to interpretation, most likely so they can abuse and control their personal agenda as much as they can. So with such a careless policy taken notice by the people, the district has thankfully taken it down soon after. They are also taking in public comments and insights on the issue until December 10th, for then they will make a reconsideration for the policy on the 12th. Despite this, many are still doubtful and worry that this policy will still somehow be implemented in some way, and they fear that it will impact, even influence other districts to do something similar, leaving many consider this entire situation to court as a final resort. So personally, I think this document overall is kind of ridiculous. I'm just confused how something like this even got passed without someone having a little common sense, and now this is just straight up violating the First Amendment. But judging on how this document was phrased and structured, I just think it becomes kind of obvious that not much thought was put into it, and its main goal is to clearly try and silence its audience as much as possible so they can control whatever agenda they're trying to push for. But this just makes you ask the question, who proposed this and why, and isn't this such a sensitive subject to carefully talk about? But regardless of how it started, I just don't think it's justifiable at all, especially during the time of this pandemic where teachers and staff members are trying their hardest to help students, and with their voices being more important than ever. And to try and justify something like limiting one's basic constitutional right as necessary is just not right. And even if it somehow does continue all the way to court, I just don't think this policy will ever be enacted in any way, especially now when it's clearly violating the First Amendment.
Okay, Thomas, let me ask your classmates, do you have any questions for Thomas regarding this presentation? Thomas, I'm going to give an example. I'm not going to name the district or the name of this teacher. This teacher during, I believe this is professional development days. No students were present in school, but this female teacher was wearing a face mask with the message, Black Lives Matter. The first day, the administrators, they were just talking to each other. The second day, they asked this teacher to remove the face mask with the message. The teacher refused to remove the mask. I don't know if you guys heard it in the news. And the third day, the administration, this teacher, please do your face mask or change it. Okay. The teacher refused for a second time.